Caught me talking to Adam Haas here. We are back live in Berwyn for the 22nd annual North-South Challenge presented by Danny Atkins. This is a winter bracket semifinal game. The other two teams in the winter bracket, Flashback and Moneyline, going at it on the other diamond. And we thought we'd show you the defending champs. And we haven't shown you Hex this weekend, so we thought we'd spread the love a little bit. Again, this is Chicago-style 16-inch softball, 60-foot bases, leadoff can't steal. 38 from the pitching rubber to the point of home plate, 6-12 on the arc. We're playing no glove, so the pitcher gets what we call a drag step, one step left, right, or back. Two fakes or hesitation. Third arm action must be to deliver the ball home. Fake or a throw toward a base is considered one of your hesitations. It's a 16-inch clincher. It is not a mush ball. We swing heavy bats up to 38 ounces and 34 inches long, 2 1/4 on the barrel. No fences. We're basically, I believe, playing the fence line down. And we started with 30 teams, and now I believe we're down to the final 6. As BTA and Farrell's still alive out here, having good weekends. Of course, the 4 teams in the winner's bracket. So leading off is going to be Curtis Ostrom. I'm fighting a little glare, folks, so if I don't see a message or I miss a little bit here with the camera, it's hard to see. So Curtis Ostrom, the straw, leading off. Curtis, little fly ball, long run for Anthony Sanchez, and he got there but couldn't hold on. Again, tough outfields like a lot of parks. They have a little bit of a slope toward where they want it to drain, and it's in that corner. So he was kind of running down a slight slope, not as pronounced as Westchester. Of course, the big news yesterday, Signature, who won the Tournament of Champions, was eliminated. Got walked off by the Fat Kids, who had a pretty nice weekend. Fat Kids eventually lost to March, I believe. So reset here, open count today. And there's a little short flare, long run, and it drops. And Curtis is going to slide in safe at second. So Curtis Ostrom didn't quite hit it probably the way he wanted. Came down with a parachute, everybody chasing it. And Curtis, of course, very quick, easily hustled into second base. So that's going to bring up Mark Holstein. This is something new. Hex has been putting him in the 2-hole. Mark, of course, for a long time was a 3 or a 4 hitter back in the day when he was with the 45s. And Mark goes up the middle. Moretti snags it and throws to first for out number 1. So he was trying to go to that hole on the other side of the field. Didn't quite hit it. No advancement. So BTA came out on fire and beat up Circus a little bit to advance. BTA and Farrell's upset Chucks, and they're both waiting. And Al Rice leans on it, but Anthony Sanchez playing deep, and that's a break. Curtis had shut it down and was going back to the bag, and Nate Mercado dropped a relay. That's a good example. We've talked before on the broadcast. Flashback's very good at it. They tell the runners turn and look because they don't want them to completely shut it down. If the throw's coming in, they'll say hold the bag. But that's an example. Hex could have stole a run there, but Curtis had already slammed the brakes on and was heading back to third. So here's Rob Scahill. And Rob, a little ground ball. Scotty Better, we've seen him at third playing short center today. So at the end of a half an inning, no score, 45's coming to bat here. And 45s look a little bit more connected. We talked a little bit. They had a rough Sunday in the Westchester tournament. And they just seemed a little flat in both their games. And today it looks like they got a little bit more energy. Again, this is the first game of the day for both of these teams. It is warm out here, although we do have a breeze. Top of the trees blowing hard up there. And the trend of high-scoring games through the first two big events of the summer has continued out here. So again, it's been a really good weekend. Teams have been having a lot of fun. You can see back over there in the background, I believe those are the Hex fans. They got 2 tents set up over there. And the teams that have been eliminated still kind of hanging around. Big crowds Thursday, Friday, Saturday out here. So some familiar faces here coming up for the 45s. Anthony Sanchez, Nate Mercado, Vince Sacy.
Watch your card!
And a big plus for the 45s is they got their young star, Jeff Mastari, back in the lineup. He had a little shoulder tendonitis, but he's apparently worked through it. And Jeff's a lot of fun to watch. Of course, Israel Sanchez telling me it was 2 weeks. And a little soft flyout. Of course, Israel was a pitcher. He was in Kansas City, had a little bit of an arm injury and kind of derailed his career a little bit, but pitchers know about shoulders and arms. So here's Nate Mercado. And I think defense can be a big part of this ball game. Both these teams are capable of scoring some runs. And Hex, a much better weekend this weekend. They were great with the wind blowing out. And Nate Mercado just over the top of Nick Casano, the short center. And he gets on base. Nate been swinging it well this weekend. And it brings up Vince Sacy. Of course, for you Hex fans, we won't be able to show you Joby Carbs, the best-looking guy in softball. He's not here today. So here's Vince Sacy. Very difficult to defend. Vince can go pretty much anywhere. No, I believe that they're on opposite sides of the bracket, and there's a high fly ball. Curtis Ostrom, the catch, quick release, and he keeps Mercado at second.
Hey, take what they give us, boys!
I don't have the bracket in front, but I believe BTA gets the loser of flashback money line.
I'll score in a single. Chris.
No, and I think the Pharaohs might be getting the... I might have this backwards, but they're not playing each other yet. So the next game they will not be playing each other. So it brings up Scotty Vetter. Of course, we talk a little bit about Scotty. Another off season, and he leans on it, and that's going to get almost to the sidewalk, and it's bouncing into off the house over there. 2-run homer. Scotty Vetter launches. And we told you, on top of the trees, the wind's howling, and Scotty Vetter did not miss a stitch on that softball, as it almost hit the sidewalk out there and rolled all the way to a house. So 45s grabbed the early lead. And I'm a little struggling to see my scoreboard, folks, so bear with me. Fighting a lot of glare here. It's going to bring up the aforesaid Jeff Mastari.
Watch your line here, Rob.
So Scotty Vetter, electrifying swing there. And Mastari, a little short pop-up in no man's land. Casanos makes a nice running catch. to end the inning, but the 45s score first, and they'll head to the top of the second with the first lead in the ball game. Just a little for curiosity, Pharaohs have been playing terrific defense. They got past Iron in their first game, 4-3 in extra innings, and they just beat Chucks by an identical 4-3 score. So that seems to be the magic combination, and that'll tell you how good their defense has been, as they beat Iron and then Chucks. And meanwhile, the Pharaohs have been swinging the bats real good. They laid it on a young West Side Outlaw team. I want to say that was 11-0. And then they beat up Circus. I think that score might have been 15 or 14-6. So PTA starting to get into a little bit of a groove. So Mike Greco, Nick Casanos, and Mikey Oliver. And man, that was a long home run by Vetter. And again, Brian Sloan, the pitcher for Hex, flattened out. He didn't miss it. And Mike Greco just throws it the other way, takes the hat off. Danny Villarreal right where he should be, backing up the throw. Keeps Mike here at first. And it brings up Nick Casanos. You can get a little closer. I love it when the first base coaches are aware of the stream. It makes our job a little easier. Of course, that's Kyle from Hex. And Casanos, it's a way foul down the line. Looks like a fan jogging over there to help Anthony Sanchez out. And a lot of times, when it's warm like this, a team will run somebody down the foul lines. Save some of these outfielders, and especially a kid like Anthony, who tends to start every game in left field. And by the end of a weekend, sometimes these guys get a little bit of a jelly leg. And then they coach or extra players there so they don't have to chase the ball when it's foul again. So 2 strikes here on Casano. Just underway here, top of the second. And Casano's kind of reached for a high outside pitch. Just hit a little roller. He does advance the runner. And that'll bring up Mike Oliver. Of course, we've talked too about Hex and the acquisitions, a little bit of a merger with the Sauce team. Brian Sloan, Mikey Oliver, Rory Oakray, of course Brian Sloan, Donnie Sullivan, all in the lineups. And there's a hard ground ball. Mastari handcuffed, wide throw, no tag. According to the umpire, let's take a look at it. And I think that might have been the right call.
I thought my foot dragged on the orange there maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so Adam wasn't questioning the no tag. I think he was questioning whether he was on the orange bag. I don't know if I had the bag in the shot or not. The rule is the white bag is for the defender and the orange bag is for the base runner. Now, if the throw takes you into foul territory like that one did, then the defender can use the orange bag and the runner is supposed to cross over to the white. And here's Rory Oakland. Now, if you're a runner, that's tough depending on how close you are to try to change direction. And the reason they put that rule in is they didn't want a first baseman trying to get all the way back to the white bag and maybe have a guy step on his leg. Danny Villarreal makes the catch to throw to the plate, no tag. So Danny Villarreal, jack of all trades. Danny started as a center fielder. So first and third here. 2 outs now. So Hex caught a break on the errant throw, now they're in jeopardy of not taking advantage. And you never want to leave runs on the table, especially early. A couple of reasons. One, you need them, and two, you don't want to jack up the other team that just had a monster home run. So you always want to maintain that contact. So it brings up Nick Kimmer. And that ball is a little inside.
Creep it a little. You're good. You're good. There you go.
There's a strike.
Creep in. Creep in. You're good. You're good.
And Kimmer hammers it. Sanchez, though, good jump. He puts it away. So Heck's a little threat. They had first and third, nobody out. They do not score. And we're going to head to the bottom of the second. 45s will have Chris Lentine, Jimmy Moretti, and Adam Haas coming up in this ball game. And again, I think if you're Hex, your fear always is that you let a team like the 45 start scoring runs and maybe leak out on you, and then they start free swinging. So again, we are live from Berwyn, Illinois, 22nd Annual North-South Challenge, presented by Danny Atkins. 22 years, folks, and Danny is not affiliated with an association or a park district. And I've known Danny since 2001, long-time friendship with him. And SSA always chips in when we can, because Danny this year not only had his iron team in the tournament, but a couple of the guys that play on their team, he had the Fighting Squirrel team in it. So here's Chris. Chris Lentine, pretty good offensive player, won a MVP at an SSA Major National Championship. He was co-MVPs with Anthony Sanchez. That was the year where the Lentine family was winning MVPs everywhere. And there's a little strike. Chris trying to play act a little bit with the ump. And Chris shoots the box, and he leads off the inning with a base hit. Of course, whenever Chris or Tommy Jr. play, you usually see the parents come out. They like to watch their kids play. Of course, grandfather, Frank Lentine. And Jimmy just kind of guides it through the hole, so Moretti's on. And now we got first and second here, so 45's coming out early in this ball game. And that brings up the big first baseman, Adam Haas. And Adam has, since day one, has been a real good first baseman. He's very tall and long, good hands.
Confidence!
And he's gotten a lot better offensively through the years. And there he shoots one to center, and making the nice catch is Donnie Sullivan, the March import, no tag. So Donnie Sullivan, little sinking line drive. So far early in the season, that's where Adams has been going, a little bit toward left center and slightly to right center. He's been hitting a lot of humpbacks in that way. And Donnie got a great jump on it, slid underneath, and that brings up Mike Marola. Of course, Mike, longtime traffic guy, played with Hex for a couple of years. And found a home this year with the 45s. And Mike is versatile. He's played some infield. And Mike, a little overhand cut. Curtis did keep it in front. And now he throws home, safe at the plate. And Curtis didn't slide. Israel wanted his guys to tell him down because that play ended up being close.
Hey, Blue! Hey, Blue, send him back to second. Send him back to second, please.
Jimmy Moretti trying to steal a base.
Fall for that shit.
Jimmy just kind of walked over there. And Mike Greco, the first baseman, caught it. What's that old phrase? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So 45's tack another one on. And it brings up Danny Villarreal. Well, you got the grandfather Franklin team. Frank's won about a gazillion championships. Everything from regular 16 to 50 and over, 60 and over, 70 and over. And Frank was a real good player back in the day. And there's another hit. Jimmy Moretti going to try it. Cut off by Scahill. So the 45s, 2 in the first, now 2 more here in the second. Lead the game 4-0.
Hey, come on, Chuck. Come on, Chucky.
And again, I got a little glare. Yes, I did do it right. And then you got Tommy Lentine Sr. And Tommy's been playing the game forever. Currently running the team with his other son, Tom Lentine Jr. And then you got Chris Lentine, who led off this inning. Here's Chuck Regaldo, a little hot shot. Okray to Casanos. And they called the double play on it. And that'll end the inning. And we'll show it. Good job by Rory Okray. I like what he did here. He made sure of the catch. Nice little hip rotation. And threw the strike right over. And Hex might have caught a little bit of a break there. So you got Frank, Tommy Sr., Tommy Jr., Chris Lentine, and Ashley Lentine actually was on Impact for a little while and got a few starts, and also pinch ran at a SSA Major National Championship tournament. The only female to ever do that. And so I don't think I'm missing anybody. I would think that's right because I know the Pharaohs are on this diamond. So I would think that the winners between the 4 teams playing now would just stay at their diamonds. So they're going to draw the loser of this game. And then BTA will play the loser of the money back flashback game. That's right. Oh yeah, I forgot about Frank Jr. Good catch there. You know what they say, out of sight, out of mind. I haven't seen Frankie on a softball field in a while. So good genes in that family. So here's the center fielder, Mastari, makes the catch, and he throws Donnie Sullivan out. So back to the top of the lineup with Curtis Ostrom. And whatever issue Jeff Mastari was having with the shoulder, it doesn't look like it's affecting his throwing if it was his right shoulder. So here's Curtis Ostrom. Trying to get something started. And Curtis, and that ball ate Scotty Vetter up. He was a little flat-footed, didn't really charge it, and kind of was leaning back a little bit, and the hop just ate him up. So here's Mark Holstein. So Heck's looking for a little 2-out magic here. Curtis will be running on the swing. He will score on a stretch single. And I kind of chuckle. Mark's gotten a little older, and back in the day, the way the wind is kind of pushing the ball around, you would never be playing them as short as they are now. But Mark has kind of changed a little bit. He doesn't just dip and drive anymore.
Good. Good.
Good idea, Jim.
Yeah, watch, Bill.
And if you're Jimmy Moretti, you don't want to walk him with Al Rice coming up.
Back.
Because as far as Scotty Vetter hit the ball, Al Rice is capable of hitting it just as far. And there's a swing and a line drive, but right at Marola, and Mike Marola makes the play. So, 2-out hit, can't do nothing with it. And we'll head to the bottom of the third inning. Still 4-0 45s. And it looks like I forgot to change the inning, folks.
Hey, let's go.
So we got the scoreboard, right? So top of the 45 lineup coming up here. Anthony Sanchez, Nate Mercado, and Vince Acey. So again, we're in the third, but an important inning with the top coming out.
Hey, let's go, B.
And Sanchez, it's a little fly ball, and that ball was carrying up there. That seems to be the alley right there in left center. Some of these big hitters. It amazes me sometimes you see a ball fly to a certain part of the field and you'll get a team that'll vapor lock and they'll try to hit it where the wind's blowing in. We saw that in the TOC when Circus was playing signature. And Nate Mercado, a little chopper, Nick Kimmer, strong throw, and 2 up, 2 down. Circus kept trying to pound the ball to left when the wind was howling from the left field corner toward the right field line, and ended up losing that game 4-3. So here's Vince Acey, and Vince tries to go hard down that line. It's going to be foul. It's actually a little closer than I thought, maybe 2 feet. And again, Curtis kind of running down a slope. I think he thought he had a good angle on it, but he was kind of running down a little bit of a slope there, and the ball ended up being over the top of it. And that's why Vince's a tough hitter. He's more than capable of really driving the ball, but he can cut it, he can push it, he can flip it through a hole. And there he tries to cut it, but right at Scahill. So we're going to head to the fourth, still 4-0. And a pretty snappy ball game so far. And usually when I say that, the game slows down, but we'll see. So a nice inning there for Hex. They keep the score at 4-0. If anybody's on the game changer, feel free to throw up a money line flashback score. And I'm going to grab a little water, folks. I'll be right back. So if you're the 45s, this is how you like to see Al Rice in the box with nobody on base. So it's going to be Al Rice, Rob Scahill, and Mike Greco.
What was it?
Called that pitch illegal. Apparently he felt it didn't clear the 6 foot height. And Al off of Moretti. Self-defense, he knocks it down. And that might leave a mark. That ball was a rocket, hit right back at the pitcher. Jimmy got his hands up, or it could have been a big problem. See Jimmy just kind of self-defense, throw the hands up. He rotated his.
Yeah, all right.
So Adam Moss says, is the ball okay? I don't know if that hit him up in the head area or not. So here's Scahill. And Scahill overpowers Mercado at short, a little sinking line drive. And they throw behind. But Scahill gets back. I did not get a chance to talk to either Matty Dozan or Jeff Hernandez today. I'm always curious as to who guys are missing. Here's Mike Greco, single last time up. Pushes that foul, and there is somebody over there trying to help out the outfielders, so somebody in the dugout must have been listening to the broadcast. So it's been a fun weekend. We've seen a couple of upsets. We're seeing some teams starting to round into shape. BTA and probably number one on that list. And the Pharaohs just playing really top-notch defense. Pharaohs got a lot of the... And there's a little flip to center.
Tag, no tag.
Chuck will make that catch. Pharaohs got a couple of really good young players out in Washington Park on that team. And I like what they're doing there. They haven't been scoring a ton of runs. I think that's going to get better as the season goes on because some of them young kids got good strokes. Here's Nick Casanos. And Casanos delivers a two-out hit. Scales going to score. That ball rolling into the gap. Casanos, we'll see on the relay if they send them. Mercado's throw, play at the plate, save! Nick Casanos, line drive in the alley, two-run homer. See if we got the replay, and the outfield's been talking, and I mentioned it on the broadcast, how fast the grass is out there. And that's a perfect example. He didn't go over the top. He just hit a line drive into the alley. Chuck Regaldo, normally quick as a cat, couldn't cut it off. It was a nice relay by Nate Mercado. And there's a swing, and Nate catches that. So Mike Oliver stung the ball. No love. But they cut it in half, 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the fourth. So Hex was looking for something to get him fired up, and that just may be it. And I talk all the time, the best ball in softball is that 12, 14-foot high line drive into a gap. And we talked, the grass is short here. We have not had a lot of rain. Hopefully that trend will continue through the day. As we're watching the radar, last time I looked, looked like the northern suburbs out here might get hit, but hopefully it'll stay north today and not affect the tournament. So here comes Scotty Vetter. All Scotty did last time is launch one to the sidewalk in left field for a two-run bomb. Then it'll be Jeff Mastari and Chris Lentine. And Vetter and Casanos have a day, young man. As he climbs the ladder and steals a hit from Vetter. And that ball was smoked too. Casanos climbed the ladder, and I might have been too quick on the replay. And here comes Mastari. Yeah, just a little quick. So 1 out. Nick Casanos, fresh off the homer, robs Mercado of a hit. And that's a big play because the way they were playing him in the outfield, if that ball hits the grass. And now Mastari launches one. Curtis way back makes the catch. So he got under it just a little bit. Didn't really barrel up. Kind of hit it up the elevator shaft. It carried well, but Scotty's ball was a little bit more of a line drive getting out there. So here comes Chris Lentine. Jimmy Moretti on deck. So, a couple of nice plays. We got a train rolling by. Not as bad as the train in Marshalltown. But Nick Casanos with a nice play. Rory Oakley starting a double play. And in these games, your defense is always critical. Chris Lentine pokes it toward the alley. Curtis Ostrom takes control, and that'll do it. So in a game that's flying by, 4-2 as we head to the 5th. Wait for this train to pass, folks. As the voice is starting to go a little bit. So Rory Oakley going to be leading off here in the top of the 5th inning. Nick Kimmer and then Brian Sloan. And Rory floats it out there. Chuck is there, backpedaling again. Another ball that carried. And a lot of times we'll see an outfielder not necessarily be quite as aggressive, setting up to catch a fly ball when you see the wind. And down at field level, you can't really feel it much because you can see those trees behind home plate. And then you got this elevated train track. So down on field level, there isn't much wind, but when you get out to left field, man, those trees are really shaking. Right as I say it, we get a cool breeze. And Kimmer, hard ground ball, Vetter, nice play. And he throws it off the screen. Scotty did everything right. I think he had a little bit more time than he thought there. The release point was way up over his head. And Adam Haunts, his first baseman, is saying, when you get a play like that, just give me the long hop. course, Scotty new to the team. We've seen Nate Mercado and other 45 infielders through the years do that. Had him very sure-handed. So here's Brian Sloan. 1 out, 1 out. And Sloan, little inside out, but Marola right there. And he makes the catch. Brings up Donnie Sullivan, the center fielder, with Curtis Ostrom on deck. And Donnie, hard hopper, Mastari knocks it down. He'll just eat it. Again, Donnie is center fielder. Very quick, little nasty short hop. And for a third baseman, that's really do or die. You either catch it clean or you don't. And that time Jeff couldn't. And it brings up Curtis Ostrom. I haven't looked at the stats this weekend, but coming in, he was a Chicago Summer Series home run leader. And he's been doing it by just hitting line drives all over the field into gaps. And he's quick as a hiccup. And he gets it down and it rolls through. It's game over. And Israel Sanchez saw something he didn't like. I don't know if he wants to pitch Curtis a certain way. He might just be telling him, don't flatten out. Again, they're playing Curtis pretty deep for a kid his size. You wouldn't think that they'd play. They're playing Curtis deeper than they're playing Mark Holstein. No play at first. Don Sullivan being very aggressive with his secondary lead here. See, that time Curtis yelled no. And he flattens out, but he hits it off the trademark. Curtis not very happy there. He got a flat meatball, and he did not barrel up. So scoring opportunity goes by the board. Still 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the fifth. So it's going to be Jimmy Moretti leading off, Adam Haas, and Mike Marola. So I think we're about due for another flashback money line update. I can't see the names for some reason. I got to change that. They got the people commenting in kind of a dark blue on a dark background. So during the day, it's hard to see who's talking to me on the comments. So here's Moretti.
Pitch, Brian, good pitch.
And there's a hard ground ball to Casanos. Slight fumble, and that's why you put tall guys with long arms at first. As Mike Krekel was able to stay on the bag. Brings up Adam Haas, scalded one to center. And Donnie Sullivan, great read, came in and made the play. So 2-0 here. And there, he just laid one in there, but Adam spins it foul down that left field line. And both pitchers have done a pretty good job today. They're not falling behind. I think we've only had one walk in the game. So I see Jimmy's down there saving Curtis a little bit of a walk. That ball was over there by the sidewalk. So reset here with Adam Haas. And Adam up the middle, little deflection. Casanos comes in and makes the play. So Brian Sloan got just enough of it to deflect it toward his short center. And Casanos changed direction and made the play. Nice play. Adam, a left-handed hitter, makes it even more impressive. So here's Mike Marola, 2 up, 2 down here for the 45s. And Mike, a little cut. Curtis can't get to it. And that's a nice job. He went into a slide but got his hands up to make sure that ball didn't pop over the top. And here comes Danny Villarreal. So 2-out base runner. Marola can run. He'll score on a stretch single. And they're not playing Danny too deep. He's actually deceptive. He's got a little more pop than you would think. Doesn't normally drive the ball to the right side, but every once in a while he'll turn and burn. And there he just chopped wood. Casanos flying in and he makes the play. So we're going to head to the top of the 6th. Still 4-2 here. So 2, 3, 4 coming up for Hex. Holstein, Rice, and Scahill. And you can see they're already anticipating a pinch runner as they replace their...
Hey, let's go, Mario. 8-2-0.
their normal first base coach here with Tommy Cortlett. My guess is if Mark Holstein reaches, Tommy's going to jump in and be the base runner. If you're Jimmy here, you don't want Al Rice coming up with the tying run in the box. So Jimmy grabs the strike there. And he dreaded leadoff walk. And now they're going to pinch run for Mark Holstein. Hey, Mark, is Eric Nedzilla here today? Eric, if you're watching, Lima. So here comes Al Rice. And Al, little flare, Marola, easy play.
Nothing.
I think Al got a little anxious there. Swung at the first pitch he saw. He's shaking his head. And it brings up Scahill. And I think Al wanted to go hard to right center there, but looked like he was a little late. Didn't really stride into it much. Whole swing fell apart. So here's Scahill. Scahill, little ground ball, better backhand flip wide. So we'll check the replay. I thought he was off the bag there. again, Vetter made the nice play on the ground ball, and then he's kind of running away from the bag there, and you can see he didn't. So 2 runners on here. Brings up Mike Greco. So second and first here, 1 out. Nick Casano with the home run and both RBIs on deck. If you're Jimmy, you need Greco to hit his way on. Can't afford to give up any free passes here. And he grabs strike 2. Now Mike needs to keep the ball between the white lines here. And we just had a tent kind of roll over here. Oh.
I thought that was a little deep. When he called the ball on me, was closer than that.
I think the 45s may have gotten
I told him,
break there.
He's like, that's a strike. But he's a bat, and they called that a strike.
That ball was
he just looks at me and
very
smiles.
deep. It looked like it was past the back foot. It might have been inside. And now Casanos is up, and they're having a conference. And the wind feels like it's shifting just a little bit. It might be starting to come down from the north a little bit more, and that wind might be shifting and blowing out toward right center now. So here's Casanos. They're playing him to pull. And he hits it toward right center. Marola on his horse. Dove and can't make the catch. This is going to be a 3-run homer as it bounces off of Marola and rolled into no man's land. Casanos 2 for 2. A 2-run bomb and a 3-run bomb. And Hex takes the first lead at 5-4. Again, we told you the wind kind of shifting here, blowing more toward right center all of a sudden and right field. And that ball, when he hit it, didn't seem like he got all of it. Marola was on his horse, ended up leaving his feet, and when he couldn't make the catch, Chuck Regaldo, who was hustling over into the gap, the ball got deflected away from him. So big hit. And it brings up Mike Oliver. And Oliver smokes one. Mercado, little fumble, better, not in time.
Way to hustle, Mikey.
And I got a feeling Nate might have got hit in a very sensitive spot there off the hop. He's trying to get himself together. And it brings up Rory Okray. So needless to say, the Sauce Kids have had an effect on the top 6. Have had a definite effect on the game. And again, if you don't like the weather in Chicago, just wait 5 minutes as the wind has changed directions. And there's a little soft fly ball, Chuck Regaldo, but 3 runs in the inning, and we got a new leader. So they had a conference, and right before Casanos hit. So he's launched one into left center, and then he hit one into right center. Well, Joe, not familiar with Wooddale. I don't know how far north that is. earlier on the radar, everything seemed to be heading way up north. And that's why a shift in the wind coming out of the south versus the north is not good. We don't want it pushing the rain down in this direction. And it has clouded over. We were in sunshine when the game started. There's definitely been a drop in temperatures. That cold front circulates around the area. Okay, well, if it stays up there, that's all right. So pinch hitter Billy Smith, high towering fly ball, and Mikey Oliver, or Donnie Sullivan, excuse me, tracks it down. So Billy Smith hit for Chuck Regaldo, and they're back to the top in Anthony Sanchez. And Sanchez, a little fly ball, Ostrom tracking, makes the catch for out number 2. Brings up Nate Mercado now. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. Hex just taking a 5-4 lead.
Nick, 2 back.
And Nate is one of these guys. He'll hit line drives and he'll walk the dog here. Nate Mercado going to go to second. Throw cut off by Okray. And now they'll talk about it. But you got Vetter on deck who's hit 2 missiles. And you got Vince Acey, who's a terrific player. I doubt you want to walk this guy and put another potential run on the bases. And Vince is a guy that can go to right center. So if Vince has noticed that there's a shift in the wind, he's capable of pumping something into right center field. Vince has always liked the coolest cat in the park, man. He just kind of goes about his business, doesn't really get too animated. He just hits his tail off. Of course, longtime Player Inc. guy. Had a little stint with Signature, I believe. Had a cup of coffee with Flashback at the No Glove a couple of years ago. And ended up over here at the 45s. And I think they're being real careful, but I don't know if that's a good or a bad idea. And Vince tries to hammer it. Ostrom makes the catch. So he gave it a good ride, about 7 to 8 feet short of that lamppost. Curtis jumped up in the air to make sure. So we're going to head to the top of the 7th. We got ourselves a nail biter here.
Top 7.
Defending champs trying to stay clean. Hex trying to make it to the winter bracket championship. The winner here plays the winner of Flashback. If anybody has access to the Game Changer and you can give us an update, I believe the last score we got was 5-1 Flashback. Winner here will play the winner of that game at 3:45. So here's Nick Kimmer. Nick is a guy that can cut and push a little bit. It's kind of rare when he tries to load up. Again, just been a pretty well-played game. Both teams have had their moments defensively. But 2 big swings by Casano's the difference. So Flashback has opened it up down there 11-2. And there's a chopper to Mastari. He bobbles it and he'll eat it. I think that would have been a tough play had Jeff not cut in front of the shortstop. Nate was moving on an angle behind him. He would have been on the grass if he would have caught that. And here's a pinch hitter, Kyle. And he's hitting for Brian Sloan. And it looks like Richie Battistone's grabbed the bat. And he might be hitting for Donnie Sullivan. So Kyle being very patient. Home plate jumping around on Jimmy Moretti, 3-0. Again, nobody out here. You don't want to keep putting base runners on. Grabs a strike. I don't like that when the hitter just stands there. You all know that from. And that's way deep. They will probably re-enter, I would think, Brian Sloan. Or, let's see, they got guys on the bench. And they're going to pinch run.
Oh, I'll stay here. Oh, yeah. Stay there, Kyle.
So they're talking about what they're going to do here. Usually Brandon Bartleman was a backup outfielder for him. Young kid they're trying to bring along. Pinch runs. I don't know what the hesitation is here. I think sometimes guys get confused. Now, if Brandon comes in the game, it's not a double re-entry. Sloan can still come back in the game, and so can Kyle. You can have 15 guys lined up on the runway, and they're all going to get the chance to re-enter. So I don't know what they're talking about here. And Sloan, I don't get it. They could have easily run Bartleman, and it wouldn't have affected anything. The only thing I can think of is maybe they're worried in case they needed to put him in the outfield running for the pitcher. But you're in the 7th inning here. So I don't understand the hesitation of not putting Jackrabbit in the game here. So I'm not sure what happened there. I'll find out after the game. But that's... So Richie Battistone does in fact grab a bat. He's hitting for Donnie Sullivan. And Richie, a little ground ball, and it bounces crazy over. And Kyle is going to get to third. And Hex grabs a 2-run lead. Kyle's showing you a little bit of better athlete than you think.
Good thing fucking happened.
He jumped up. He got his feet out of the way. And the ball hit something and just popped up in the air. And here's Curtis Ostrom.
You better break up a double play.
Nobody out. They re-enter Donnie Sullivan. And Curtis, a little flare. And the aforesaid Ashley Lentine almost interfered there. Adam Haas got over there.
It was right on, like just
And this is where you'd like to see Curtis maybe try to elevate and go big toward a gap. And he just dumps a single, another one scores. Sullivan to third. Curtis Ostrom delivers. So big hit by the straw. And Hex playing a little first and third here. Brings up Holstein.
Breaking up a double play. I got him. Don't worry about him.
So Marky Holstein, chance to extend the lead here with only 1 out. Runners out in the corner now. Mark is a double play possibility if he lays it on the carpet, but he does what he should. And that ball's going to get over Marola. Mark Holstein. One run is in. 2 runs are in. Throw to the plate, and they'll just hold Holstein at third. Mark got it up in the jet stream and airmailed it over Mike Marola. 9-4 here in the top of the 7th. 3-1. And that brings up Al Rice here. Easy RBI opportunity. Now I'd like to see Al be a little more patient. It seems like he's been a little anxious today. A lot of these big hitters, when they get into a game when the wind's blowing out, they all want to dip and drive, and sometimes they're not selective. And he walks him 1st and 3rd yet again this inning for Scahill. So Al Rice finds his way on base. So nobody out here. Nobody out for Rob Scahill. And Heck's blowing the game open here a little bit.
Different Monty's ball, but it fucking held up in the infield. No, he got it. Every miss. That ball is. That's like old money.
I got to steal that. Adam Hoff said he got all of that and a 3-piece. Scahill, little knuckleball, and Chuck can't hold on. He got there. Scahill, big turn, but it'll come back. 10th run is in. And Hex, after being kind of quiet most of the game, has exploded here. They put up a 5. First runs of the game, not driven in by Casanos for Hex. It's Rob Scahill hit a sinking knuckleball to center. Chuck made a great effort. He had 2 hands on it, but dropped it when he hit the carpet. And Israel Sanchez coming in relief of Jimmy Moretti here. In the 45s, they got out of the gate good. They were up 4-0. Hex has scored 10 in a row. And it looks like the flashback money line game is over. Here comes Mike Greco. Again, we are in the top of the 7th. Hex came in nursing a 5-4 lead. They didn't have the hammer, and they're taking care of business here. And Greco hits and that gets over Marola. 1 run is in. Scale's going to score. This is going to be a 3-run homer for Mike Greco. Hex with an 8 spot here in the 7th. They figured out the wind changed in a hurry. And they're getting it up in the jet stream and letting the wind take care of it. And Heck showed us at Westchester, they know what to do when the wind's blowing out. And Casanos, another hit, as he drills a hard hump back into left. Well, you know, when the wind's blowing like that, everybody's a threat to go over the top. And those trees, like I said, they've been howling. Mike Oliver, a little fly ball. And now the throw is airmailed, and Casanos tagged. And he watched the throw. He saw it was clearly going to be over the top of the short center. And that's part of the problem, too, as an outfielder. When you got a breeze in your face, you think you got to get a little more into it. You're better off throwing that ball, thinking about throwing it as a one-hopper. And Rory Oakley comes through with a hit. Now it takes a weird bounce, and Casanos will score. Oakley to second. $14 to 4. One out. And here comes Nick Kimmer, the guy that started the inning. And Kimmer up the middle. Villarreal makes the play. And they finally get an out here. So 14 to 4.
4? The top? got or they do? Walks or hits?
And Brian Sloan will be swinging. So they've spun the lineup here. Put up a 9 spot. And they got a runner at third, another easy RBI opportunity. I think there's only one out here. That's 16-inch softball. These games turn on a dime. And Hex came out, got the big 2-run homer by Casanos. And there's a little flare. Mike Marola, a little basket catching. Okay, I had the outs wrong. So do or die, bottom of the 7th. For the 45s, they find themselves down by a 10 spot. V. 14-4? Okay. Well, that's a good question. I mean, sometimes you don't have people to put in there. And, you know, look, I've seen guys through the years, a guy makes a mistake or an error. And I've actually seen managers pull a guy in the middle of an inning. And, you know, it's a long summer. You can't afford to lose a guy mentally because he made an error. And when the wind blows out and you're an outfielder, it's a tough situation. And that's partly why, if you go back on Game Changer and you look at some of the scores from the first 2 weekend events, we've had an unusually high number of games where teams are scoring 15, 18, 20 runs. And so if a guy's thrown to the wrong base consistently, not making plays he should make, then obviously you got to do what's best for the team. But and better, long fly ball, Sullivan is there for out number 1. So it's starting to look like it's going to be Flashback versus Hex in the Winter Bracket Championship game. We will have that for you. Obviously, we're a little behind. And there's a ground ball sucked up by Kimmer, out number 2. So 2 outs. 45's down to their last out here. And the defending champs are going to have to do it the hard way. So they're going to have to play the Pharaohs. If they win that game, they'll have to play the loser of the Flashback. Actually, I take that back. They'll have to play the winner of the Moneyline BTA game. Then they'll have to play the loser of the Flashback Hex game. And then they'd have to win 2. So that's why these semifinal games are so important, because even if you lose the Winter Bracket Championship, you only got to win 1 game to get back. And there's a ground ball. And Hex comes out, got their offense cranked up late, big top of the 7th, and they cruise in 14-4. So we hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We will be back later, Winter Bracket Championship, and of course we will have the championship and potential if game, weather permitting. So on behalf of the SSA and the whole crew over here, stay tuned, like the page so you get the notification.